Today we're going to install the CRANKBROTHERS Highline dropper post. The tools you'll need for this are a torque wrench with a 5mm Allen key, cable cutters, needle nose pliers, a red pen, 2 and 3 Allen keys, and something to open up the end of the housing. With the new CRANKBROTHERS lever, you'll have an array of options for setup. You can mount it on the top, bottom, or left or right. To install the lever, take your 3mm Allen key and insert into the bolt. The convenient hinge on the lever will allow you to install it without removing any of your controls. With your 3mm Allen key, tighten down the lever to 2.5 Newton meters in the desired position. For install of your housing, you'll want to route the cable through the frame. Keep in mind, different manufacturers will have different routing procedures. Make sure that the opening on the end of your housing is completely open and the edges are smooth with your pointed object. Next, take the alloy cable housing tip and put it onto the end of your housing. We can now determine how much housing you'll have at the front of your bike. You can do this by turning your bars a full 90 degrees from the forward position. With the cable the desired length, you can now move to the seat tube of the bike. Use your marking device to mark off where the tip of the seat tube is. You can now remove the housing from the lever at the bars and pull it up to make the final cut. Take a tape measure or ruler and measure 165 millimeters of housing. Once you've found that mark, take your cable cutters and remove the excess couple feet of housing. You can save this for your derailleurs at a later date. Next, take your sharpened item and open up the end of the housing so that it's nice and smooth. You can now install the cable ferrule on the end. Unwind your cable in your seat post, being very careful not to put any kinks in it. If the cable is kinked at any time during this, you will need to replace the cable as it will affect the seat post operation. Make sure that your cable is free of kinks and dirt and debris before inserting it through the housing at the seat tube. Once the cable exits the front of the housing, you can now pull it through and press the plastic cable end into the base of the seat post. Push your seat post down into your frame until the desired height is reached. If you're using a carbon frame, make sure that you put new assembly compound on it. Never exceed 7 Newton meters while tightening your seat post clamp. Next, you can pull the cable through the lever at the front of the bike. Slide the cable through the barrel adjuster on the lever and it will exit behind the paddle of this dropper post lever. Make sure that your lever is pushed all the way into the closed position before tightening down the cable. Take your 2mm Allen key and tighten down the set screw to 1 Newton meter. Next, you'll cut off the excess cable. With your finger, hold the cable from moving too much while you cut it at the first dot that is on the paddle. Next, install the alloy cable tip that is provided. Slide the tip over the cable and then crush it with your needle nose pliers until it's firmly on. Next, reinstall your saddle by hooking the head of the seat post over the rails and then inserting the base of the seat post with the cradle pointing backwards. Tighten your seat post to the recommended 7 Newton meters with a torque key. Make sure that you switch back and forth between the bolts so that you get an even 7 Newton meters. Once your bolts are to the full 7 Newton meters evenly, your saddle is installed correctly. And that's how you install the CRANKBROTHERS Highline dropper post.